Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, and thank you for your comments. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So the title of this video is, Let's Stop Pretending About This and Let's Stop Defending. The sudden wave of Black American kids were so mean to us stories is not about childhood memories. It's a reaction to Black Americans drawing boundaries, naming our culture, and refusing to be collapsed into a vague all Black people or African identity. It's a counter narrative, not a historical record. So why are these stories popping up now? First of all, it's a boundaries backlash. When Black Americans began delineating our culture, lineage, and identity, some Africans online felt rejected. Instead of sitting with that feeling, they created a narrative where we were the aggressors. So they're rewriting their childhood. Many of these people were children when they immigrated. Kids tease everyone who is new, different, or has an accent. White kids, Latino kids, Asian kids, everybody did it. But now, as adults, they retell it as Black Americans targeted us. And a lot of these African children really went to predominantly white schools. And as you know, I taught at predominantly white schools. Black children, Black American children, feel very much out of place in those schools. They're trying to navigate those schools themselves. And they are not the majority in those schools. So they are not framing the narrative. Take that for what it's worth, because now these Africans are deflecting from accountability. Instead of addressing the very real anti-Black American sentiment that does exist in some African communities, they flip the script to avoid acknowledging it. And that is why I say we should stop defending it, because these people are not always telling the truth. They are not always telling the truth. And all Black people are not bothering them, but they are trying to make it seem like, oh, Black people were really targeting us, when really most Black people didn't even go to school with them. Most Black people will tell you there were no Africans in my school. And when they were in the school, the Black children were just like all other children. They act like the way they act. Nobody is changing because Africans or Caribbeans or somebody else shows up. People are being themselves. And another thing is, these stories that these immigrants, these Black immigrants are telling now are too coordinated, too convenient, and too recent for us to take, but so seriously. For decades, Africans who immigrated were saying, we didn't grow up thinking about race. So they don't know about race. Well, we did. We grew up thinking about race. America is a country where you think about race. So we grew up thinking about race, and we saw their race, but they said, what? We are not Black. So we took them at their word. But now suddenly, they always knew they were Black. They were bullied by Black Americans. They were treated worse here than in Africa. And in that case, they should go back to Africa. They have trauma from Black American kids. See, what I'm saying is we should not pretend that these people are telling the truth and that we did all of these things to them, because we were just living our lives here in America. They came here to live. They have to accept any country that you go to. You have to accept it the way it is, not the way you think it should be or the way you were told it was. You have to accept the country like it is, because what they're saying is really not memory. It's revision. They're trying to rewrite the history because Black people have said we are delineating and we have our own lineage, we have our own culture, we have our own history, and you're not a part of it. And so now they are coming up with all of this other stuff, trying to make you feel guilty. And I'm saying you shouldn't. So this is what we should not do. We should not get into the habit of defending ourselves because we don't know. They might be telling the truth, but all of them don't have the same experience. All of them have not had the same experience. And if you listen to them, they're all telling the same story. So that's how you know you shouldn't be taking them seriously. Number two, we should validate their revisionist history. We shouldn't try to argue with them and say that didn't happen because they're just going to double down on what they're saying. So you cannot get into the habit of trying to discredit them or disproving them. And for goodness sake, don't get into an argument with them. Let them say whatever they want to say. Because at the end of the day, we are at home and they came here. So if they're talking about, oh, Black Americans did this and Black Americans did that, and you know you didn't do that to them, don't accept it and don't argue with them about it. Don't even have a discussion with them about it. And don't pretend that these narratives are neutral. These people are not neutral. These people have an agenda. They are trying to guilt you into saying, oh, yeah, we're all the same, so they can go back to with their anti-Black sentiment that they were doing behind our backs until we got hip to it. So don't take them seriously. You're allowed to say to them, that is not my experience, and that is not the collective truth. All Black people don't do that. That's what they say. And I know I haven't done it, so I'm not taking any responsibility for it. And I have the suspicion that one of the reasons that the reaction from these Black immigrants is happening is because delineation removed their ability to collapse our identities. They can't, identity swap now. Oh, I'm a Black American now, but I'm a Nigerian next week, or I'm a something else next week, but I'm a Black American when it's convenient. You can't do that now. And you can't claim proximity to Black Americans anymore. And most of all, they can't claim superiority. I saw one report where it said some Africans think they're going to rank higher socially than Black Americans. Well, good luck with that. So that's why all of this, you were mean to us. You were mean to us because white people are the meanest and the harshest of any group of people in America. Why don't they take this to white people? You know why they don't take it to white people? Because white people are not going to even entertain it. White people are not even going to have a discussion with them. At least we will entertain the discussion. At least some Black people will. But white people are not even going to entertain this discussion with them because they gatekeep and they don't care who knows it. So people don't take their grievances to the groups that they actually feel intimidated by. They take them to the group they assume will absorb it. White Americans don't internalize these narratives, don't feel responsible, don't feel obligated to soothe anybody, and don't engage in anybody's ethnic debates. They listen to Black Americans because we've been here all the time, and they act. And usually, when they act, it's something negative. But they do listen to us. They're not even going to listen to these immigrants. Well, listen to them well enough to tell them where the immigrant detention center is. And we've all heard these Black immigrants say that white Americans are nicer to them than Black Americans. Well, this is your chance to make your move with white Americans because Black Americans have delineated. Black Americans never expected to be blamed for other people's discomfort or identity struggles. So, if someone feels more affirmed by other groups like white people, then you're free to engage with them. But what we're not going to do is accept narratives that rewrite who we were as children or who we are as a people. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening and have a good evening.